Hello folks, welcome to Cornbelt, Farming Simulator 17, a map made by Caster. In the previous episode, we had started hauling some of our wool to market. We're in the middle of planting our largest and last field. We can kind of monitor it a little bit on here. We're going to need to refill our planter at some point, but we've hauled our wool down here, and you didn't have to suffer through most of the ride to get here. And at least now we don't have the consternation of fighting snow as we bring our wool in here. I'm going to delete the course, and I think this is a trigger right here, right? So what I don't know is how many it holds, and so I kind of think, there we go. Now is it Y that sends them out? There we go. Everything into the trigger. Continue a little bit further. We'll see if it takes all of it with voracious appetite. Now, there's our trigger marker, and Y takes it. Very good. Okay, so we still have more than enough sitting in our trigger over here for the inputs for the crates or whatever that the fabric goes in, so we don't need to do anything there. This time here, we don't have, it isn't a full load, so I'm gonna skip. I'm gonna try to get through here without disturbing, we'll see if I'm able to do that, any of, oh boy, am I going to be able to negotiate that corner? Yeah, I think I'm going to just barely make it. Alright, that's some good driving there, right? Check and make sure, yeah, my hired help is still working out an 18. So last episode I mentioned there would be some other things to do in here, and I think what I'm going to do is go pick up some of the... I want to come through here. You know, if we were delivering by truck, I probably would come through here. Oh, this is swing on through here to kind of come through the wood area. I think there is a sell point in here for logs, if you wanted to drop them in here, and you would get money. Otherwise, I've been taking the logs to... Oh, hey now here's something. You know, I don't know what this is producing. I take that back. Maybe one of these is a sell point for logs, but one of them must do something else, and I'm really not sure what it's produced. It would obviously sit here on this strip out there. But we're going to come by over here, and we're going to pick up some wood products. Get this in here at some level. And the hard part that I can't really see, yeah, it's a full, is how to... I know there's, is it a Z? What I don't know is what kind of pallets that I'm on. So I think it's the Z key, but cycling through them, I don't know which one is the, is it Z? Which one is the, what's it doing? When I toggle there, it goes down between the two. Well, maybe I need another one. Oh, and of course it isn't working because I'm on the wrong trailer. Okay, is that the one I want? Yeah, actually I think that is the one I want. So as these come out, I don't know if it's going to be a double decker on here, but I'm just going to leave it parked. There are still 2 on there, but I don't want to get too close. What I've learned before, if you get too close and there's a trigger acting on this, I don't want to pull the one off of the spawner. You know, I want them to move kind of like this and move into the trigger so that it picks them up kind of in auto pickup. Like I say, I don't know if it's going to create 2 layers on here. I just don't remember how these trailers were stacked. But I must have picked the right one to get it so it picks it up. In the old days, I know you could pick any type of pallet that you wanted and it would put it on there. And you know, if it happened to be like a wool pallet, it would just stack these in there really, really tight. You know, which of course then caused a problem when you went to unload, because it would unload it as is, and all those physics objects would unpack when you dumped them out, and you would have things flying all over. So we'll let that be, and let me just kind of cycle through. We got to pick up after our animals again here. Maybe I could do chores a little bit. Just keep an eye on my planter. Down to 22%. I am still very curious to see if it will allow me to plant even though I have or require fertilizer in there. I know in real life you can turn off the fertilizer, so it'd be nice if they give you that ability in here. So, but we'll see. Let me see, how are things with my feed? And we have everything clean, so really everything is good from that regard. And you know, how much hay do I have? If I look at my inventory, I think it includes what's in that other building over there. Let's take a peek. Oh, we have so much. You know, even with, you know, we got 406 tons of grass, and even more, another 15 tons of hay. I think some of that is at the main farm. Oops. And to go back, or to just see how many. We have 1,708 sheep. I don't know how much a sheep eats. You know, by all rights, there's no way we could keep all of them in a tiny little pasture, and for doggone sure you don't see 1,700 of them roaming around out there. You know, I once looked into the app, by the way, and I think that there is a limit. Let's see if I can just count it real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20? Do I see 20? There's a limit, I think, at some point as to how many of them will render kind of on the screen. And I once tried to fiddle with the settings on that and then figured out there were probably game engine limitations, and just basically gave it up. I wanted badly to be able to show more sheep on there, but I think the Giants have us cut off as to how many they will let show. Oop, and I just ran over several chickens. Oh well, they always seem to come back for more. I'm tempted to do a little bit of hay stuff, but kind of as you can see, the grass isn't full grown, and truth be told, we really don't have any need for more hay at the moment. You know, especially, let me see how much I got stored in here. This is the little barn that could. I think it has all of our hay in it. Let me see. That's got all 15 tons. Straw, 100 and we just don't need grass. We really don't. 180 tons. So we're going to be a long time getting that all done. Let me head out to the tractor in the field, and looks like it's coming along. We're down to, you know, what's interesting with what it reports up in the left hand corner. You see wheat at 20%. What it's really reporting at 20% is the fertilizer, not the wheat. It'd be nice if it would tell me kind of what the lowest one is versus the fertilizer in there. So I'm not sure why it does that. But we're down to 9% on the wheat, so we're going to need to refill the seeds. And this is just the second episode that I've had where there's planting going on. And as you can see, we haven't moved very far. It is a very laborious process out here in the fields, just like it would be in real life. We started before 7, so this has probably been going in the field not quite an hour yet, and doing all this, I mean, it's definitely going to be measured in hours, just like it would be in real life. Probably what I should do is, I've used this planter for quite some time. I think there is one that's a little bit bigger. Maybe while it's running itself out, I can look and see what's available. Sewing machines. So the one I'm using is this one here. So yeah, that's the one I have. It's almost 60 feet. I mean, it's no slouch, but I think there's one a little bit larger yet. This one here, I think I have one of those. Oh, nope, I guess I don't. Maybe it's this one. Maybe I've had one in the past. It's a little bit heavy to pull. But yeah, this one also is right at 60 feet. If I want to plant corn or those kinds of things, I need to use it. I think the sugar beets and stuff that I planted on the farm is this one here. Yep, it's just a 30-footer, but I take care of, so if I really want to, it does a little bit of sugar beets for me. If I really want to plant corn, I need a different planter. But the one I probably should adopt is this one here. It's 84 feet. It would help me get just a little quicker over these fields. So maybe after, because I think I've had this thing for a long time, and I can't remember the last time it was repaired. This is just the stats on the tractor, probably. Yeah, 16.4. I may need to do some field repairs to properly take care of the equipment. But maybe after I get this planted, it'll be time to just retire it. Alright, so here we go. Get this out. And so what was it? Was it B? I think B goes to the next one. Yes, sir. Okay. 4. Let's go to our truck. In real life, would someone take a heavy truck like this out over the top of the seed bed that's been planted? Maybe it depends on condition. You probably wouldn't drive at 42 miles an hour in the field, but I don't know. I sometimes wonder if the planters, rather than having the truck come out to them in the field, if they would simply try to refill or make sure they got the job done when they're on the headlands or kind of at the end of the field, so that there's the least amount of disturbance or compaction in the field. Oh, and speaking of compaction, we do have, let me see here. That is a mod that I put in here, and I'm kind of curious to monitor it. I've tried to keep, I've tried to keep the air out of my tires to maximize the flotation in all the equipment that I have, so that we keep the minimum amount of compaction. Where there's open lines, there's no compaction at all. But this light pink, and see down here, you can see some compaction as it's darker. Maximum compaction you see here, like at the full red, and that's kind of dictating when it needs to be plowed or torn up. But I know with the mod, Realismus Modding made this, and they never published it, but I thought it added a nice little addition to the game. So alright, let me turn that thing. back. Here, let me see. How does it show for seeds? Okay, no, wheat at 18%. Yeah, it's following the fertilizer for some reason. So I don't know. Maybe there is a way to change kind of how that ad is tracking. I'm sure there probably is. I just need to know because it doesn't have it in here. Oh, interesting. I have the proceed in here. Huh, I could be cutting in tram lines if I really wanted. The trouble is I didn't pay attention to that. So, and this here, by the way, you know, being Cornbelt, Midwest, obviously the U.S., it is U.S.-style farming. And maybe this happens in the Midwest. I do know that there are some farms who try to manage their compaction by always driving on the same spot in the field, you know, so they leave untouched areas, you know, where they don't get any compaction. I know that kind of thing happens. But what I don't know is if other styles of farming happen where they try to cut in their own tram lines, you know, so they're not wasting spray on those areas, you know, or rather seed by planting areas that they know the wheels are going to trample. More likely, I think what happens is they just simply plant it, and if they spray over or have to spray over the top of it, they just trample some of the crop. But maybe somebody here uses a tool in the field to cut in tram lines. I really don't know. I really didn't know anything about that concept until watching some YouTube videos on British-style farming and some of the things they do there. Maybe it's a European thing. It's a pretty cool idea, you know, to cut out, to minimize your expenses. I mean, that's one area where GPS has really helped farmers. You know, everybody thinks that they're an awesome driver and drive as straight as anybody, and they don't take up, they don't have much overlap. You know, here you look at the hired help, and the overlap is just right on the edge. And obviously, it's one way for a farmer to show skill by consistently minimizing, you know, how big that distance is. But no matter how skilled the farmer is, it's always going to be some overlap. And a lot of times with the advent of GPS tools, they've gotten it down to where, you know, it's just, there's hardly any overlap at all, and there's measurement for how much chemical is put on. There's GPS used to turn booms on and off, and it's created a lot of savings for the farmer to make sure they get the chemical and nutrients exactly where it's needed for the minimal amount of environmental damage or cost, and also minimal cost to the farmer himself, because you overlap all that, especially when you're throwing around chemicals and fertilizer that costs lots and lots of money. You know, it doesn't take long for that bill to add up, even with all the overlap. Matter of fact, I think a lot of those systems were sold to the farmers in the form of savings. You know, maybe it came with a big price tag, but they said, hey, in one season you're going to more than make up for the cost just in your savings alone. It's always kind of interesting, you know, when a system is sold kind of on that basis, you know, where the savings, the so-called savings, are going to pay for the product itself. I always wonder how a farmer internalizes that. You know, in my line of work, I'm in accounting, and we have products too. You know, everything we do is so intangible. It isn't in the field, but everything we do is in the computer, and, you know, there's various processes and things that we do in our line of work, and one of those is a type of what's called an attestation. And an attestation is basically where we help a client prepare financial statements, and we put a report on it. You know, maybe their banker needs it. And a lot of times there's certain procedures we have to do to make that attestation in order to sign our signature on it, to make sure there's, you know, it's correct. And there's a reason people call things audits, and they come to people like us to perform audits and reviews of financial statements. So there's certain procedures that we do, analytical procedures, and there's these vendors that sell software packages to help with all these procedures that we do. And a lot of times they'll do that same thing to us, just like to the farmer, the GPS system. Well, hey, you're going to save all this money by having more precision in how you lay down the chemical. Well, they tell us that kind of thing too. You're going to save time. That's usually how they cast it. You're going to save time in the performance of these analytical procedures by using our tool. And this is fresh in my mind. This time of year is December, and this is when we renew subscription on a number of these tools. So it's kind of fresh in my mind. And one particular tool that we have, they kind of sold us or told us that there would be savings. And I know they have statistics, and they get this data probably from other accounting firms out there. Well, how much time did you save by using our product? And as the old adage is, you can make statistics say literally everything. And maybe firms that said, hey, your product didn't save us any time, matter of fact, it cost us more time, well, maybe they just don't put those kind of statistics in the database. Maybe they say, those firms that save time, on average, they saved. You really got to look at how things are worded. So, I know there's a particular vendor that we're working with, and we just haven't seen any time savings. Matter of fact, it kind of goes the opposite way. And some of them may be that we just simply need more training on the tool. I don't know. But I think also the picture that they paint sometimes isn't quite as rosy as it is in actuality. And yeah, a lot of times, it's funny. It's probably this way in so many disciplines. It takes a certain kind of person to be able to sell to someone else, sell product. And I know the software vendors and whatnot that I work with, he's probably never done an ounce of accounting in his life, but he'll tell me how much time savings I'll have when I use the product he's trying to sell. I'm sure at that company they do have accountants in the back room working on it to make it be whatever it needs to be, but but he doesn't know how it's supposed to work. So, and I have no doubt that it's that way with other disciplines. Not always. A lot of times it's really helpful, if you're in the business of farming and you have an agronomist or a mechanic, anybody that you're working with who has an agriculture or farm background, it can be really helpful to you, for your business. And versus when you have somebody selling or someone that you're working with that has no clue as to your perspective or the kinds of things that you're going through. And I don't care what discipline it is, that would be true. Well, this guy is happily planting away, and as I look at this tractor, I think you could tell that we pulled air out of the tires. It's kind of bumpy in there. It's kind of floating along over the soil. As it's a young lady. All right, she's planting the field. Hopefully she doesn't get her nails dirty. But it's kind of bouncing along the field like we'd expect. And that reminds me too. The Giants have never implemented it yet. I know for a while there was a competing game, Cattle and Crops, that had created, what do they call it? Deformable soil, where the soil itself had 3D texture. When you plowed it, you could see the furrow, or as if it had a furrow. And whereas in here, even though, when you look at it, it looks like it has little ridges and tiny furrows here. And if you drag a cultivator or a ripper or plow or something over it, there's different textures, and they tried really hard with how those textures were set up to make it look as real as possible. But there just isn't three-dimensional deformable terrain in here. This is flat as a pancake. It's the surface of the map, and any deformation that you see on here is purely as a result of the textures used to represent cultivation, or in our case here, planting. It is flat as a pancake. All we see is a picture here. And I think it's easier on the game engine to render all that versus using deformable terrain. And I don't speak for the Giants, nor do I even know that much about computers. It just seems to me that if you have genuine deformable terrain in there, it's another type of 3D object or something, and it's probably harder for the game engine to render and to have a decent in-game experience. See here, I got 60 FPS. Even with, oh, I guess it slipped when I look this way. I guess there must be more things to look at when I go that way versus this way. So I know 60 frames per second is the gold standard, and so, in order to keep it up there at that, yeah, I know even on the latest Farm Sim version, they still don't have deformable terrain. I don't know that it's needed. I know there's some people that would just love to have it, and I'm not sure I would. I have a feeling it would kind of be like, in Farm Sim 19, where they started experimenting with a dynamic sky. This is Farm Sim 17 in this version here, and we still are using the good old skybox in 17, and all the skybox is a massive upside down box that forms the sky, and on the inside of the box you have the textures, in our case the blue and the clouds and everything. You have those on the inside of the box, so when we look up, that's kind of what we see. Well, in 19 they kind of changed that up, and now you'll have clouds that move, and it maybe was a necessary step to go to continue developing the game, but it didn't really look the best, at least not to me. I kind of like the good old skybox because it's a real sky texture. Someone went outside and took a picture of a real sky. The trouble with it is it's static, so it's the same thing that you see all day long, although I tried to do a few tricks in here, and in the original version of the game, of course, you had just a handful of sky textures. Sunny day looked the same every single time. When it rained, it looked a certain way. Nighttime a certain way. So I tried to add a mod, the skybox change mod, so that we at least have a different sky to look at every day. To kind of change things up that way. But I know in Farm Sim 19, the Giants started, tinkering with a dynamic sky. And I think in 22, it's gotten even better. So who knows? Maybe at some point they'll take the plunge and start working on their terrain and try to make that deformable too. And it's probably going to be a little rough, I would imagine, just like the sky was, and then each iteration of the game hopefully get, just a little bit better. Oh boy, this is going to be a long slog. Just look on the map here, and I can't tell how far along I am. You see what it is here? I mean, this is 2 episodes now. And we just have this little strip here. I think I did this off cam. So this is going to be going for a while, and it's going to take forever. Even the tractor that we have, I've accumulated 267 hours on there. It'll get another probably 15 hours at least on this field alone, just planting it. Shoot, it may take 2 days. I really don't know. It'll be whatever it'll be as we get this crop put into the map. Maybe, let me see, do I have my trains as a group? I do, and I still need to figure out the app mod. Okay, here's one. Okay, we've had this, we hauled, oh, look at that. We are out of canola. Huh. So we've already used up every shred of canola that we hauled down here. We had a whole train load. Does everybody remember that? We also have used up, we only have 1.8 million. I think this goes up to 2 million. So I probably can start emptying it out a little bit. So that's exactly what we'll do. I'll maybe crank it on. Let's see if we can empty out some of this here train. Cycle through some of the cars. This one here, I know on some of the areas of the map, there's a little hose, you know, that you can hook up here, and I guess we don't really have that. There is a hose kind of connection hook up. It'd be interesting to see if, you know, this could be tinkered with, and a guy could hook up a hose for the oil. Kind of curious to see how much. Oh, yep. See, there we go. We're done. And I said done right as the bell went. So if I want to keep going here on making fuel, I'm going to need to put a whole lot more canola in here. And you know, I'm out of canola now. Had a whole train load. So which tells me it's processed some things in here, and so I probably have some material over here. I do. Oh my, that's 1,030,000 liters of what was in here? Compost, as it made this fuel. So I've got some hauling to do here. This is all something I needed to do with the truck. So yeah, maybe I should drag train tracks over there. Anyway, the bell just chimed, which tells me that this episode needs to come to an end. So thank you so much for coming along. I'll head kind of back out to my little tractor here and end it in the field. Helper O. The lady that's helping us plant our field, she keeps working it over. So I'll let you go here for now, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you for joining me on Cornbelt.